This video is not a drill, this video is not clickbait, coming to you fresh from the horse's mouth and hot off the press, Sid Meier's Civilization. Their next Civ game is in development. They tweeted it out at 3 AM this morning, and a few hours later, after stumbling out of bed, I'm here to report quickly, but significantly, on the announcement that likely a Civilization 7 is coming, unless you're a sadist, in which case you'll be looking for Beyond Earth 2. But more on that in just a little bit. Let's jump in and take a look at what the heck is going on this morning in the world of Civilization. It all started off with a tweet. Red alert, hot off the presses. The next Civ game is in development. 1 million exclamation marks and an incredibly explosive face. This got, naturally, Twitter abuzz. I should probably like that, actually. Joking about what the next title might be, asking for a source, to which they replied with a wonderful picture of Sid himself. This lunatic, I'll give him his first like. And then, as you can see, lots of other interactions from 2K, Europa Universalis, friends of the channel, so on and so forth. Everybody seems fairly excited about the announcement that Civilization 7 is coming. If you bring it to the Google search, you'll see that the news is still fairly fresh. A lot of the articles here are fairly old, right? Talking about how the Leaders Pass has been announced, or what it could mean. Marvel Midnight Suns, Firaxis' other game that they released just a couple of months ago. But there are a couple of outlets that are reporting on it fairly quickly. Let's take a look and see what Polygon is saying. Civilization 7 is already in development, Firaxis says. This was, of course, basically just now. News comes alongside a change in command at Firaxis too. We'll take a look at that, and a couple of other interesting things in this video as well, by the way, because hilariously, I've just been drafting a video about how the Civilization 6 Leader Pass was likely to spell a delay for Civilization 7 due to its overwhelming success. Maybe I've got egg on my face. Either way, let's take a look at what Polygon have to say. The next Civilization game is in development at Firaxis, the studio's parent company. Take-Two Interactive confirmed in a statement on Friday. Though no launch date or window was offered, so if you're looking for a date, you're shite out of luck. The news comes 6 years after the launch of Civilization 6, a critical and commercial success across 5 platforms, and you can't really argue with that. In fact, we'll take a look at its success in just a little bit, because I think it's incredibly fascinating. Take-Two and 2K announced the development in news recently and also promoted Heather Hansen to Firaxis studio lead, while announcing the departure of longtime developer Jake Solomon. Formerly, Hansen was Firaxis Games' chief operating officer, so she's gone from coup to brand new studio head. Hazen said she was thrilled for the opportunity to, quote, work on the next iteration of the legendary Civilization franchise. While talking about how wonderful the franchise was, she also made a point to note that Marvel Midnight Suns, their other game, will continue to receive post-launch content. So if you're a Marvel Midnight Suns fan, good news for you. Though I doubt that is why you're watching this video, so let's move swiftly along. They also provide some fairly interesting context, right? Sid Meier began the franchise 30 years ago, Civ 6 launched in fall of 2016. What were you doing in 2016? I was going to make a joke about some people watching this video not even being alive then, but that's probably not yet true. The game was supported by, of course, Rise and Fall, Gathering Storm, and loads more post-launch DLC. Most recently, the Leaders Pass, which is still rolling out new content, by the way, for another roughly 2 months from the time of recording this video. Ed Beach will continue to serve as creative director for the next Civilization game after directing Civ 6 and designing Civ 5 way back in the 2010s. There's bound to be some people watching the video who were born then. Maybe even that's still too soon. There's more to discuss, though. The overwhelming success of the Civilization franchise inevitably means that it will see more. And if you've been a long-time viewer of the channel, you'll know that we've been speculating about a release of Civilization 7 for around a year now, so it's nice to see some information come through. Civilization 5, which came out, of course, in 2010, still sees 18,000 players playing it today. A peak of 91,000 10 years ago on Steam. And well, maybe the Twitch viewers aren't doing so hot, but the player count remains honestly really solid. Take a look at it over a lifetime, and you can see that it has definitely declined a bit, yet it seems to have a solid support at 20k. But this isn't a cryptocurrency video. Let's take a look at Civilization 6, because this is where the real magic happens. There are currently 51,000 people playing Civilization 6, still down, granted, a third from its peak. If we take a look at perhaps how that plays out over 6 months, you'll notice that the new release of the Leader Pass had a massive impact on player counts. Take a look at them shoot up in November to 90,000. Sheesh. Taking a look at it over 3 years, or perhaps all time, and you can see kind of a familiar picture to Civilization 5, if not for the fact that it is actually slightly picking up over time. Take a look at the bottom of that green line. You can see while maybe back in 2018 it was holding 23,000, 30,000, now it seems to be holding a really solid support at 50,000 players. That, of course, could all be about to change. For context, by the way, a game that I do love but clearly doesn't see anywhere near the same reception, Humankind peaks at around 1,000 active players at only 2% of its all-time high. And of course, zooming out along the graph paints a very downtrodden picture in comparison to something like Civilization. And the reason why I bring this up isn't to dog on Humankind. Again, I really like the game. It's to highlight the overwhelming success of Civilization 6 and the footing that Civilization 7, if we can call it that, will be launching on. This is a platform of wealth, success, strategy, and commercial heights like no other. And I think that that should give us, at least, the right to be fairly optimistic and set our targets fairly high for what the next iteration of Civilization will offer. If you take a look at the Civilization franchise on Steam, you can see they're characterizing it in a very clear way. Civilization 6, right up the top, by the way, 90% off, still a great time to pick up the game, because I'm sure that we won't be seeing a Civilization 7 for many, many months, if not over a year. We can speculate on that slightly more at the end of the video, but you can see that they set it up basically to be like, hey, buy Civ 6, buy this Civ 6, buy this Civ 6, and then there's this little tab here with more. The reason why I bring it up is because Civilization 7 to me seems by far like the most likely outcome, or they might choose to call it something different, but either way we're talking about the same thing. A mainline launch for a Civ game. What could the other options be? Well, very quickly you'll see that generally not a lot, right? Civ 4, Civ 5, Civ 6, here's Civ 3. I mean, it's a fairly solid formula. However, it's important to note that in between Civilization 5 and 6 coming out, when 6 released here, as you can see, on the 21st of October 2016, there was, of course, Civilization Beyond Earth. A sci-fi version, launched to fairly mixed reviews, but to its credit, actually did a pretty good job at turning itself around later in its life. Will we see Sid Meier's Beyond Earth 2? I personally wouldn't put my money on it, but I'd be a fool to say it's not an option. The rest of the options would be fairly wild card ones at this point. Perhaps it would be a giant mobile game. I doubt we'd have hoorah around that announcement, but it could be. We've also seen, of course, a few different approaches to the Civilization franchise over time. Civ City Rome, the strategy city builder. Sid Meier's colonization DLC for Civ 4 fairly solid, but of course there were also other iterations, pirates and trains. However, I think we should be smart here and put our money on the fact that the next Civilization game, Civ 7, will follow in the footsteps of the mighty Civ 5 and Civ 6. Thank you very much for joining me today. Be sure to subscribe for more speculation, dubious speculation about Civilization 7, but also all of the news as it comes to light. Thanks for watching. See you next time.